Ready and racing.
Welcome to the Dogcast for Greyhound Racing SA. Visit grsa.com.au.
Yeah, welcome to the latest edition of the Dogcast, brought to you by Greyhound Racing SA. I'm your host, Brenton Yates, and joined, of course, as always, by the one, the only Greyhound Racing SA's racing manager, Shaun Mathieson. And Matho, we have got a lot to get through here. Welcome.
Welcome, yes, Yatesy. Thank you for having us on the show here, or the Dogcast. It's great to be here with you again. Plenty to get through today. So many feature races running around locally and interstate. We'll touch on, obviously, the Mount Gambier Cup's going to be a highlight this Sunday with the Group 3 heats, but plenty of racing going on for sure.
Yeah, we'll have a look back as well. We had the Murray Bridge Cup final, which terrific crowd there, so looking forward to that. And look, we've got some locals who are going to do some good stuff, possibly interstate, obviously heading to the Golden Easter Egg at Wentworth Park, and we'll also check out the launching pad at Sandown. So we got plenty to do, so stick around. Up next, we'll look back on all things that have happened.
The Week in Review.
Our Week in Review is brought to you by the Fresh Pet Food Co. They're proud suppliers of fresh pet food for our GAP SA greyhounds in the GAP prison programs. They are based right here in SA, so visit their website, Matho. Visit freshpetfoodco.com.au for more information. So our review section, mate, we're going to get stuck into the Murray Bridge Cup, and first of all, what a great crowd, a really good night. The locals really support it, and a terrific race. Yeah,
most definitely. I think having the festival Fun in the Sun a month ago has sort of encouraged people to get to Murray Bridge, and it was a great crowd on course. The car park was full. I think it's a really good indication, right banked up to where the slipping track is. And and it kicked off with the straight track racing, which is always a great novelty on that night. But they were two high-class races. As you mentioned, upstairs was full. Yeah. The weather actually wasn't as windy as what it can get there at Murray Bridge. It was a really nice day. So, I think the people up close to the fence, and also in that middle section where they see the one turn from the 680-metre boxes. So it was really good to see a nice big on-course crowd. Yeah,
you're talking about the grassed area, like in between the straight track and the circle track. Terrific night. Look, big night for Ben Rawlings. He took out the feature race, and he also took out the consolation, which was the John O'Neill Memorial on the night. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, well, obviously, starting with Ben, probably he's been getting a lot of winners, but probably the feature races haven't come. We know we've had such a purple patch of form over the past few years, but it was great for him and the connections with Panorama, getting the job done in the Cup. Tom Keeping for Lanigans ran a really bold race, and I think Ben said it on the dice that just turning for home, Panorama sort of cut down a little bit, and Tom Keeping had to just stop his momentum slightly, which might have allowed him to pinch the brake. But full credit to Panorama. He let him up and was there to be beaten and got the job done. Fantastic Dixie flashed home into third. But as you mentioned, Ben Rawlings had a wonderful night. He also took out the consolation. Now, Yatesy, you're the race caller here, so you probably know that dog's name better than me.
Okeechobee Road.
Okeechobee Road.
Yeah.
And it was a really nice touch. The club named it after John O'Neill, who passed away, who's the brother of Brenton O'Neill, who are the major sponsors with Dace Irrigation, and they are wonderful sponsors of the Murray Bridge Greyhound Racing Club and that community. Yeah. And I know Brendan didn't want to talk much at all, but he said some really poignant words about his brother and what it meant to him. So it was a really nice touch that the club had that race named as a memorial race for him. He said, and Rawlings had a really good night. And
it was an emotional moment, no doubt, when he spoke, wasn't it? And you can tell that they are engaged, like they do love the racing as well. So it's great to have, sponsors that really enjoy what they're involved with. So, look, terrific night. The race itself, it was interesting. Not how I thought it would pan out. I thought the race would be from the back straight to the home turn, as we touched on. But, you probably nailed it a little bit. You're a bit worried about Panorama and being the early speed. And, didn't he bounce beautifully straight to the front? And the favourite Ravers Army just didn't at all get into the race, sort of missed the kick a bit and was never really there.
Yeah, I think we did touch on Panorama, but I was more so touching on that she might have brought other dogs into the race. Yeah. But she was good enough from the front. So she did have the blistering acceleration to get across And so the race was pretty much not done off the back straight, but obviously she had the strength to take it out. Raver's Army, it's hard in those high pressure races. Box 1 normally would suit most dogs, but he does take that little bit to get going, and then just was in behind them. Fantastic Dixie doesn't seem to run a bad race, Yatesy as well. She got home for third. But yeah, it was a strong cup as well, a good addition as we spoke about on the show last time, and certainly well won by Panorama.
What about the other feature race? We look back on the SA launching pad. Our series final was a couple of weeks ago and taken out by Livet for Tony Rasmussen. Take us through this race.
Well, it was one of the more even launching pad finals that we've had.
What about the finish?
Oh, it was
how good was it?
Well, it was turning for home. There was 5 live chances, wasn't there? Ended up with Livet winning. Just
Zipping Highland second. We had a triple dead heat for third, Matho. Amazing. How often do you see that?
No, I don't often see that too often. But they all went across the line together, and Livet certainly turned their form around, haven't they? I mean, it got plenty of ability. That was its 3rd win in a row, and I think it seems to be getting better and better against stronger opposition. So it will be really interesting to see how Livet goes when we'll touch on later in the heats of the big launching pad at Sandown. I think against faster dogs, this dog can go faster. So I'm really looking forward to see how the triple way, the racing, how it might improve Livet for coming back to SA racing. But, take nothing away. I mean, got the job done in what was a really good race. Yeah,
no doubt. And the key part as well, like just able to, it wants to get off the track obviously early, and it's not easy to do. I mean, there were 2 or 3 greyhounds trying to push down, and Livet was sort of holding its position and then sort of able to get around that first bend, which is going to be the interesting part, at Sandown as far as the launching pad series is concerned. Well, mate, that's a look back, and I'll tell you what, we better skip on because we've got a real lot to cover. We got the preview of the Carlin and Gazzard Mount Gambier Cup up next.
The preview.
Time for our preview. The 2023 Carlin and Gazzard Mount Gambier Cup on Sunday at Tara Raceway. That's Sunday week, the final. We've got the heats coming up this Sunday. Gates open at 11 a.m. Entry is free. Great day of racing for the whole family. There's a canteen, bar and free kids activities. It's always a great day, Matho, and this is going to be a very well-supported day. It's a big day coming up on Sunday. This is where they qualify to get their spot into the final the following week.
Yeah, with 7 heats, the heat winners will go through, and then the fastest second will get through. And in looking at the nominations that we had, you've got to tell you, and I know it could be said every year probably, but this is one of the strongest Mount Gambier Cup fields assembled for the heats that we've seen. Again, 7 heats, Yatesy. That's fantastic for the club. Full fields, metro dogs from up this way, Angle Parkway, the local stars down in the southeast, and those Victorians that have come across, which always sort of come across this time of year for our Group 3 feature, and it's made for a real interesting mix. So you've got a lot of dogs who've never competed against each other on a track they don't all necessarily know too well. So the locals down the southeast, they hopefully will have an advantage here to qualify, but the depth is amazing in going through each heat.
Yeah, it's a great point you make, and what's hard about that is how do you line it all up? I mean, like you said, there's so many variables in racing to begin with, but when you toss in an extra layer, like you're talking about, newcomers to the track, greyhounds who you can't really line their form up that strongly. Do they improve or go backwards on something they haven't seen before? So look, intriguing stuff, and they've got a big program there on Sunday, and I thought we might just skip through and have a look at maybe the key chances, I suppose, in the heats of the Carlin and Gazzard Mount Gambier Cup. What about race 5? So this kicks us off. This is the first heat, and we see the Oaks winner here, your hero Bale, going around. It's got to be some sort of hope, you'd think, here.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, she's a standout. We saw her back in September of last year when the SA Oaks. Her form on paper, Yatesy, has sort of tapered a little bit, it looks like, but she's been racing against the best of the best, I think. Go back, 4 runs ago, she ran second to Victor Damien in a heat of the Australian Cup.
Well, that's the form, isn't it? I mean, if you
it has
take
to
a
be.
line through that, then you sort of just label her. But you're right, like the runs subsequent. Look, you could maybe argue a little bit of bother last run, but there was just nothing there, was there, in the Shepparton Cup heat?
No. The concern probably for the connections is probably box 4, to be fair. She probably hasn't seen the track.
Yep.
She's drawn the squeeze box against some dogs who have got a fair bit of ability in the race. So she's going to need some clear running early. And if she gets it, she's the class.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. But did you pick anything that could actually get the jump on her?
Look, I'm not sure. Obviously, Angus Keeping, who we saw here for the Champion Puppy Series, it's drawn 7. It's probably got to be in the mix somewhere. Yep. I like the run of Capra last run. I don't know how to line it up. It has been here and won before at Mount Gambier, but just the way he wanted to get off the track a bit and he was smothered back on the rail, but he conceded a big margin and ran home really well. It was a bunch finish, so it's hard to know what to take out of that, but I just really liked the style of run, and I thought Blackpool Ryan might be able to improve. He really wanted the fence from the 7 the other night, and he goes to box 3. Look, as far as the bottom end talent as to what he can run, I'm not sure. Your Hero Bar looks the top pick, but there are sort of a couple of others that I thought you might be able to work around.
Yeah, no, I think luck in running is going to play a huge part, as it will in most heats. It could be one of these heats, Yatesy, I think you could get a surprise, bob up. It wouldn't surprise me if something like a Mr. Banjo, who's got really good short course form for Tracy Price, has drawn box 8.
Yep.
If it was able to bounce to the front, a little bit of interference could pinch the brake on him. But I'm leaning a little bit more towards the class here of your Hero Bar.
The second heat, we see the Murray Bridge Cup winner here, Panorama. Probably a good time to bring up the bonus, actually, Matho. So there's an overall $10,000 bonus.
Yep.
Now, but the way that works is $5,000 is allocated if the trainer is the same trainer that won the Murray Bridge Cup.
Yep.
And another $5,000 is if it's the same dog that won the Murray Bridge Cup. So what we're basically saying here is Ben Rawlings can obviously collectively get the 10 with Panorama.
Correct.
Or if he wins the Mount Gambier Cup with something else under his name, he'll get the $5,000. Is that how it works?
Yeah, most definitely.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really good innovation between both clubs and GRSA, and it encourages people to go to Murray Bridge to start with, and if
Yep.
you're good enough to win, and then if you've won the Murray Bridge Cup, again, Group 3 level, you can go to Mount Gambier Group 3 level, and Ben's got that opportunity this year. And so he's got a few dogs in spread throughout the heats, and so he gives himself every chance to qualify for the final. And as you mentioned, if Panorama in the second heat, who's going to be one of the big players.
Yeah,
here,
well, I mean, she's drawn where she drew when she won the Murray Bridge Cup, and hasn't been here before, which is the interesting part, but has got some speed on the outside, shot of Brandy, who's been over the short courses recently, but look, she's got to make her presence felt here. I thought the other one in the race, look, could be the red, Midnight Blast, like done plenty of racing down there. He's been good time. He's won nearly half his races, and I think box 1 will suit. He hasn't been down near the rail for a bit.
No, I agree. I think track knowledge will help. Midnight Blast is drawn where he wants to be, so he's definitely a big player. The other one, Yates, I did think Wharfie out of the 4.
Yep.
Again, I'm not sure how he's going to go from a squeeze box, but he was a good second behind Elite Alex last start, and that form does hold up. So
Well, that was a big jump in grade for him, wasn't it, to go to that?
He stepped up, ran time.
Yep.
It was a big run. He was at $17.
Yep.
But you'd think that sort of form is not too bad through a heat of the Cup. I'm just a little bit worried, though, about his speed early, where he gets to. And I'm thinking the likes of a Panorama might be able to get the jump on him early, and Midnight Blast up the inside. So, again, a really interesting heat.
And what about Mr. Anderson? I mean, time-wise, he probably hasn't got her on the clock to go with these, but he's been winning. And with Dan Gibbons now, I mean, what do you think there? Any hope or not really?
Yeah, I mean, if you just looked at his Mount Gambier form exclusively before going to Dan Gibbons, you'd probably say, listen, he's probably
he's 4 or 5 lengths behind, isn't he?
That's right. But under the care of Dan Gibbons, he's won his last 2 at Warrnambool and Geelong. We've got to expect improvement, and he does know the track. So, I mean, he's certainly in there with a live chance. So, I mean, he'd certainly be on the sort of the 3rd and 4th line, I would have thought.
Take us through the next heat, which is, we're up to, is it race 8? Have I missed one here?
Race 7.
Race 7. I think this is a key heat. I think there's a couple of chances, and look, one that's obviously been just a couple of lengths outside the track record here in Aston Zeeble for Dave Peckham. The other one I thought might be able to pull a bit of a run is lateral keeping.
Yeah.
Box 6.
Listen, I think they're probably the two main players. We'll talk about Springvale Max as well for Gavin Harris, who's ventured down there. But I think Aston Zeeble, for the Southeast trainers with Dave Peckham, I think he's the main player, I think, for the group. He's been in amazingly good form, a really strong winner last start.
Yeah, did you see that? Like, what about the power mid-race? Yeah. He's just put them away.
With clear running from box 1, I think he's okay from box 1. He's won 4 of 7 from the inside draw.
Yeah, and he'll get out quicker than Springvale Max too. Yeah. So he should just be right there.
I think he's the hardest to beat. Full respect for Latrell Keeping, for Emily as a party. Last start winner at Sandown in 29.4. Just that time alone puts it right in the mix. Emily and Matt Lanigan always produce their dogs at their best, so I expect him to run a big race. And Springvale Max, we know this dog really well.
Yep.
Box 2 has to suit him.
Absolutely.
So he's going to find his way to the rail early, and that's when he does his best work. So expect him to be running home. I do know that Gavin ventured down with his dogs last week to Mount Gambier. I'm not exactly sure how they went, but just to have a look at the track's got to help. So no doubt he'll be ready to run a big race out of the 2.
What about the next heat? This will be race number 8. Now I've got Titan Blazer. I thought had drawn its box. I thought it'd be okay from out there. We got Springvale Maddie resuming. Is this one Gavin took down last week? Do you know? It is. Yeah. So, look, she hasn't raced since November, but we know she's got the top-end talent if she's right to go. And the really interesting runner, I thought, as well, is Hooked on Love, who's got a really big motor. Take us through this.
Yeah. Well, again, Titan Blazer's the class.
Yep.
Titan Blazer was one of the favourites of last year's Cup, ran third in a heat and didn't qualify. But he's a Group 1 performed greyhound. His most recent one was through the Warrigal Cup Series. I think he was placed there. But he races in all the big heats, this dog, and makes the final. So for Dan Gibbons, box 8, really, really hard to beat.
Yep.
He's got the speed. He should be able to get across. Springvale Maddie, we know what she can do. Resuming, no doubt she'll be ready to run a big race. And like you said, Hooked on Love's got a 29.46 at Mount Gambier.
Yeah.
Yatesy, they don't really go much faster than that.
That's going, yeah.
So plenty of ability there. I know Tracy Price got a really good record with these sort of dogs that need that little bit of extra attention, like a Giant's Flash and all of that. So he's really done well there. So Hooked on Love, hopefully he can run a big race. Really inexperienced, 11 starts, only had the 2 wins, but expect it to run a big race. The likes of a Velocity Lotus out of the 4 and Aston Malley have to be sort of chances, but probably more in each way. I'm leaning more so to the class here of the dogs with Titan Blazer. Yep,
that can be the way to sort of assess things in these sort of races, but sometimes it can be rose-coloured glasses a bit too, can't it, Matthew? Where you sort of overestimate what they might be able to do, but then when it comes to getting it done on somewhere they haven't been, they're a bit all at sea sometimes.
I suppose a little bit of it, for me, goes to what the final might look like.
Yeah, good point.
If he gets to the final, she gets to the final, you go, what a Group 3 final. We know that doesn't happen, Yatesy. We know that there's always 1 or 2 dogs that progress through, a few upsets along the way, and you still got a really wonderful final, but not necessarily how you think it might have looked like at the start. And that's probably going to happen here. But it's always nice to think what it might be as well.
What about the next heat, which is race 9 on the program? So, look, we've got the consolation winner, Okeechobee Road, of the Murray Bridge Cup. We've got Springvale Roxy, who's been absolutely flying, obviously, at Angle Park. And, I mean, Lochinvar Kale really knows how to get around this track, drawing the 2, doesn't he?
No, you've nailed it in 3, I think. What a good heat this one is. Race 9 on the program, not to be missed. Be really, really interesting to see how Springvale Roxy goes at the Mount.
Yep.
And we know what high speed she's got. She's got to get out of boxes that she's unfamiliar with, but I'm sure she was one of the ones that Gavin Harris took down because he does own her.
Yes.
So she would have had a look. Okeechobee Road couldn't have been more impressive in the consolation at Murray Bridge.
Look, did have the rail all the way though, didn't he? Yeah. Like, he didn't have to go around anything. So, look, he was able to do it and do it well, but there was no obstacle. So it was all at his best, I reckon, for that. And look, can certainly come down and win this. Make no mistake, yeah, for sure. And Lochinvar Kale, like that local knowledge.
He does seem to go his very, very best at Mount Gambier.
Yeah.
And he's drawn 2. So
he's unbeaten from box 2.
I mean, he's going to be super hard to beat. I couldn't necessarily make a case for too many others in the race that could cause an upset, but that's, Yatesy, that is when an upset will happen.
You can write that down and take it home, no question about that. Now, what about the second last heat? This is race 10. We've got the runner-up of the Murray Bridge Cup, Tom Keeping here. Yep. And look, what are the others? I sort of thought maybe Lectra Rhino off a last start win in Melbourne, and maybe Springvale Rex might be able to do something.
Yeah, again, I think you've done all your homework there, Yatesy. You got all the main ones there. I liked Lectra Rhino. Lectra Rhino's been to Mount Gambier before, some time ago, but definitely has been at the track. And
he hasn't won, but he hasn't missed a place. He's been placed 4 of 4 there.
Yeah, all in quick time from what I can recall. And he returned to racing with a really strong win at Sandown over 5.95. He ran second in the Golden Sands in Queensland after winning a heat. Ran 5th in the final after winning his heat. And they're strong races at Albion Park. So he's a very strong dog. Box 5 should suit him. Tom Keeping, again, I'm not sure if he would have had time to see the track, but it wouldn't surprise me if he has. He was pretty impressive through the Murray Bridge Cup series.
Most definitely.
And I think they've spoken about this litter, that he was, early doors, he was sort of behind a lot of the better ones in the litter, and now he possibly could be the best in the litter.
Yeah.
He's progressing that far. So expect him to probably take the next step. Springvale Rex, again, another one for Gavin Harris, off the red. It's in Angle Park tonight, over the 5.95, and then in a Mount Gambier Cup heat. Box 1 suits, but I just don't know if he'll have the brilliance early. He's been running over the staying trip.
Yeah, fair point. Look, the Lectra Rhino case as well, like you touched on the 2 runs back from that little break. So that it got to be reaching sort of that peak fitness too, dropping back from the 5.95 last run.
Yeah, Dave Knocker, full respect with him as a trainer, so I expect him to be primed for a good race.
Okay, final heat, race 11 on Sunday. Yeah, there will be a spot left here. And look, we've got Ben Rawlings again chasing that bonus.
Yep.
Actually, no, Sister Roberta now with Tracy Price. My apologies, yeah.
Yeah, and just on that, first up for Tracy. Yeah. Had an amazing time there out of the red last week. So, good performance.
It was like that Aston Zeeble win, wasn't it? Those 2 wins were so similar, like at their last runs, the way they just really put the field away. Look, what do you think here? So it's one of the hopes. I thought I had the 5 and the 6 floating around, which is Federal Flash. I thought, really strong win last start, 29.61. That sort of time it would go around the place here. And Nero Valentino is one who's done some solid, consistent work over the track. But what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think it's one of the most open heats. I've actually probably looked a bit closer to the rails. Let's Win Coin, owned locally by Ed Burrett, has been going really good for the Sharps in Victoria and was a good last start winner at the Meadows. She does have good early speed, so I think just on a natural talent, she could possibly lead this field.
Yep.
I think she'd be hard to catch if she does. Piscopo Bale from the Dan Gibbons kennel out of the 1. Probably a bit below his other top liners, but has really good forms, and the 1 will probably suit. But then, as you mentioned, I'd be looking towards Sister Roberta and Federal Flash, who do go good. Nero Valentino, again, the significance for him is he virtually goes around Mount Gambier every week. So
okay, so 7 heats. So winners go through, and then overall quickest second. That'll be the scenario for the final the following week. What's the race worth, Matho?
It's 25 or 26,000 of the winner, Group 3 level. So over the last couple of years, we elevated Mount Gambier to the same as Gawler and Murray Bridge, which is really great for the club. And not surprisingly, we've got a wonderful turnout.
Also, New South Wales has got a bit going on, Matho. Coming up Saturday night, we've got the heats of the Golden Easter Egg, and 3 representatives heading over there. Once again, Tony Rasmussen he's travelling the world, isn't he, at the moment? And why not? When you're up and going and things are going well, they've done so well over a long period of time, and we get to see Victor Damien again. Looking forward to that. He's in the second heat of the Easter Egg. I think that's race 3. It might be on Saturday night, but he's drawn box 8, coming through a a qualifying run or a look at the track in Perth at Cannington. So what do you make of it all?
Yeah, well, I think he's drawn, to be fair, he's probably drawn a very, very winnable heat for him.
Yep.
I mean, he's got Kelsey Bale probably as his main danger, and, he should be able to beat Kelsey Bale out, who's drawn the 4. She's got a wonderful run home time, but I think Victor Damien will be in front. He showed through the Derby series that he can come out of these boxes. Box 8 shouldn't worry him. He'll roll to the front. I think a lot of good judges, and hopefully both you and I are the same, are tipping him. You can't not tip him.
Yeah.
He's the equal favourite for the whole thing,
Yeah.
Yatesy. So
what about his Australian Cup run though?
Oh,
it was from the 7, so the 8 here is no problem. Yeah, to do what he did there, no chance of seeing him not winning. I don't think.
bearing in mind, they're heats to semi-finals, then a final. It's one of the rare 3-week Group 1 series on the Australian calendar. Normally it's very cutthroat. You've got to win to get in. But for this, there's 10 heats of the Golden Easter Egg. So he can run first, second or third and still qualify for the semi-finals.
Yeah.
But we expect him to win.
I would think so, yeah. Tony's got a couple of others. Queen of Scotch, now probably not ideally drawn. Box 3 in Heat 8 of the Easter Egg on Saturday night.
Yeah, we know she likes to get a bit wide, Yatesy. But she went through the Futurity series back in January where she ran second in a heat, made the final and ran 7th in the final. You've got to say she's going better than that. Better than when she was in January.
Yeah, but I feel like her last couple of runs haven't been her best. I just felt she'd come back a half length or so, recently. And I don't know whether the 3's going to suit either because we know she does like to use a bit of the track. So, look, I hear what you're saying, but just the last 2 runs haven't sizzled me. Do you know what I mean?
No, I mean, she was in rare form through the St. Ledger series.
St. Ledger, yeah.
And then she had that trip to Melbourne.
Yes.
And then she's come back and she might just not take a bit of time.
Well, I think she had I think she ran in Melbourne and then I think it might have been the Saturday, was it? And then she was here again on the Thursday. So that was a pretty quick turnaround. And that's a night that I thought, okay, I'll give her a little forgive there because of the quick turnaround and stuff. And then she had a subsequent run. I think she was only narrowly beaten in the end, or I can't remember the margin. I don't have the form in front of me. What was that race?
When she was beaten, when she ran, second?
Second, yeah. So she came back from Melbourne, got beaten, and then she was...
1-3, and then she ran third, beaten 3.2.
Yeah, that was the run. So she went back so she was beaten when she come back, and then I felt she went backwards a bit in that next run. So, look, they're not going to be taking her there if they didn't think that... And far be it from me to say how these greyhounds are going. Tony and Lisa know far more than I would, but... Only on what I've seen on race night, I just thought it'd come back a touch. Yeah. But why not take her there? As you mentioned, through the series before, has had success.
She's seen the track.
Yeah, correct.
She seems to go okay there. I agree with you. Box 3 is probably not great, but she has that good early speed. So I think if she can put herself in the race, again, these are heats, as I said, to semi-finals. She's got to run top 3 effectively to keep going through the series. I think she can do it. Yeah. I mean, on her best form, she can definitely do it.
Yeah. Victor Marley, box 7 in a heat 9 on Saturday night. What do you make of this particular heat?
Well, I've probably been slightly disappointed with Victor Marley in recent times that she's been getting beaten. However, when she was last at Wentworth Park, she did win a heat of the Futurity and she ran a huge third in the final from a wide draw. So I don't necessarily think she loves a wide draw. I think she's probably a bit closer to the rail would suit, but she does have the early speed, which again puts her in the race. But I've just been taken a little bit by her getting beaten her last couple of runs, over the short course without a lot of luck, and then her last 2 500s. But speed at Wentworth Park, it puts you in the race. That run to the first turn, you can pinch a brake. You can get out in front. So I think they're a live chance to qualify, but definitely Victor Damien's the pick of the 3.
Yeah, really looking forward to that. So that's Saturday night in Sydney. Mount Gambier, you got something there?
Well,
I like 2. I like 2
of
them.
Us what you got for Mount
Aston
Gambier.
Zeeble.
Yep.
I thought it'd be taking out its heat, and I liked Lochinvar Kale off the 2 draw. Unbeaten. It's won 7 of 10 there or whatever it is, and I thought it might be one you could take as well in the Cup heat.
Okay, it's going to be a big meeting down there. Listen, I'll go with Titan Blazer.
Yep.
In the second heat, I think drawn the 8.
I think the box suits. Do you think so? Or?
I do.
Yeah.
I think he's been there before. He's the class runner. I think he'll be short. I think Yates in the market, but Titan Blazer to get the win, qualify.
Oh, good stuff, Matho. Plenty going on, so strap yourself in, mate. Good stuff, and we'll catch you again soon. Thanks for tuning into the Dogcast.